Hello, welcome to an episode of Electro Noob. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So, um, so I've just downloaded the 30-day trial of Adobe Premiere Pro. I'll probably try some other software out, like After Effects. I'm kind of embarrassed. I mean, I've got my Alienware powerhouse here to support some CPU cycles. I didn't think I was going to do any editing, but so I ordered these resistors from eBay. So these are 0805, an assorted set of resistors, surface mount obviously, with the values stamped at the back, which is great. And so, as you can see, various values. It's quite a nice range of values there. You only get you get 20 values. Sorry, 20 items per strip, I think. But very useful. I like that a lot actually. So here we've got some 0 ohm resistors, which in my mind are useless. So I'm going to play with those. Maybe if I turn my crappy little soldering iron on would be alright. And I've got a little reel of copper tape. So on one side you've got your copper, and then on the alternate side you have an adhesive. Nice. So I have no real goal in mind, except perhaps taking out a little strip of this, soldering on a bit of an SMD component, just to see how I get on, really, see how shaky my hand is. My hands can be pretty, what do you call it? Pretty stable, so that shouldn't be too bad. And also, I'm just curious if this tape's going to let me solder to it, because it's from like one hung low. You know, it's from China or Hong Kong, whatever. Yeah, it might be really rubbish. Might even solder to it, but I'm sure it'll be fine though. I'm going to try anyway. Ooh, it would help if I put the power in, wouldn't it? Right. Oh, sorry about the mess. I just got in actually. I was just out and thought, I'm in the mood to make a little video. Also, so I wanted to test the camera in this lighting in this room. I wanted to test that the mount was going to be good enough where it is for now. I wanted to see if I could. I mean, I know I can solder surface mount stuff anyway. It's not really much of a problem for me. But I was just curious to see if it will solder to this alright. For a size reference, I mean, it's quite a big difference. Even that, I mean, that's 5mm wide, and so yeah, these components are pretty small. And as I say, these are 0805. And I've ordered a load of 0603 SMD LEDs. So if you're not familiar with the sizes, 0603 is smaller than that. I'm a little bit worried. I don't think I've tried to solder 0603 before. Can't really remember. I know I've done some really small fine pitch stuff before in the past. So we'll see how that compares. Let me see, I don't know what you can see from the camera actually. My dodgy little Maplin special soldering iron. Sort of potentiometer varying the temperature or the amount of power that goes to the iron. I actually changed the iron for some £3.99 thing I got from a local small little hardware shop. But I've got my hot glue gun. These things are amazing. If you don't have a hot glue gun, get one. They're brilliant. They're so useful. It's almost a surprise. It's really good. And what I like about it as well is, I've mentioned this before in the podcast or whatever, cardboard is fantastic. I'm always using cardboard for one reason or another, to prototype things or what have you. Well, that looks like rubbish now. That was part of the mount when I was testing for an Android phone on the mount recently. So, got a flux. I think I'm just going to break a bit of tape off, I think. What have we got? I've got an old bit of matrix board here. It's got a bit of hot glue stuck to it. Let's just peel that off. It's really thin. That's to be expected, really, isn't it? Yeah, that's cool. Sticks alright though, the adhesive's good enough. Yep, that'll do. There you go, you got a trace. Got a bit of PCB going on there, I suppose. Right then. So, what we're going to do, let's liberate a 0 ohm resistor from here. This is where my eyesight's tested. These glasses are the prescription actually needs to be changed. Today I had an eye test and sure enough yeah, my prescription has changed. I'll explain why I can't see as well as I could or should. There's the component. I'm assuming you can see that. As you can tell, that's pretty small, but it's not hard to solder, believe it or not. I do have tweezers somewhere, although these particular tweezers are rubbish. These shouldn't even be called tweezers, but picks the component up quite well, so it will do. Right then, so let's see. Oh, these are in the way, aren't they? Okay. Let's try without application of flux and just use lead-free solder. I haven't got a cloth at the moment to clean my iron, so sorry about that. No, it'll do. I don't even know if this is in shot, but whatever. Okay, well, that was a big mess. Because there's no solder mask over the copper, you can see it's just one big splodge. Yeah, and then the resistor is soldered to it though, but it's, you know, it's a bit shoddy. Okay, that's good to know, right? That's good to know. So yeah, this will be fine for soldering too. I like that. Flowed really well and just stuck to it, no problem. Obviously, this lead-free solder does have flux in the core. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that, although it didn't really do what I'd hoped. So okay, maybe if I cut a trace out with this, yeah, that knife's not ideal for that at all. So yeah, this screwdriver isn't really a knife, is it? But let's see. So I'm just keep creating a channel or a canal or whatever between both sides of the copper strip. Get rid of some of the adhesive. I'm assuming this video will cut out in a minute. It doesn't. I've only got a 1 gigabyte a micro SD card for this camera, so it's like bit of a nuisance. Okay, so I need to liberate another resistor, but I seem to have lost them. Okay, still recording. That's good. These little Mobius cameras seem to be okay actually. It was £45 including shipping. Bit of a bargain actually. Alright, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and maybe cheat a little bit. because I don't have solder mask of any kind, and I can't think of anything as a substitute right now that can. I don't have any Kapton tape or whatever, so maybe I'll order some today. What I'll do is I will just pull some solder each side of the bridge. I think the gap's too big, in fact, but we'll see. Okay, that looks good. I just blew the tape, the smoke away, and nearly blew the resistor away. Okay, apply some solder, apply some more solder. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, well we have way more solder than we obviously need. You'd never do that normally. Plus the resistor's a bit small, but maybe the upshot of this is that it kind of proves that, you know, to solder SMD it's not hard at all. It's actually really easy. So all I'm doing at the moment, because as I say, because of the way I've done this, and because it's not done properly, I had to kind of try and find somewhere for the resistor to sit. Okay. So the theory is, yeah, I've knocked the resistor over. So if I use the tweezers just to hold the resistor down a little bit, it's difficult because these tweezers are shite. Okay, that might do. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but because I couldn't hold it down properly, I created what looks like a tombstone almost. But you know what? I mean, it doesn't really matter because, you know, well, I guess what I hope I'm saying is you don't need to be scared of SMD stuff. It's not that bad. It gets hot pretty quick. You know, like it can't dissipate heat the same as bigger components, I suppose. But okay. So what have I learned so far? So leaving the heat on the copper tape too long, the adhesive has kind of buggered up. Hello again, sorry. There was a problem with the memory card, it filled up too much. So I think the last thing I said was that the copper strip that I placed on here, the adhesive had weakened. It was like the copper tape kind of curled up a little bit once I got a little bit too much heat there. The first application of solder was fine, but I had the iron quite high in heat, actually more high, you know, higher than I needed, just because I wanted to speed up the time it took for the soldering iron to heat up to temperature, and I kind of left it a bit overkill. So it's made a little mark in the copper tape, which you probably can't see, because I didn't realise until looking at this that the lighting is really poor in this video, so I'm really sorry about that. I'm learning, I guess, is my excuse. Anyway, so I soldered to both sides of the copper adhesive tape, and also and then I reheated the solder, or reflowed the solder, such that it found its way connected to the resistor. Which again, I don't know if you can see because of the light in this place, but I'll fix that soon. I've ordered, oh, that's the point, I've ordered some LED lighting from eBay. They're modules that are sort of the size of the palm of your hand, and they're 50 watts each. I didn't really consider how much cooling they're going to need, so that's going to be an interesting project. Anyway, so there we go. We've got an SMD, you know, we've soldered an SMD component down, and that's easy. You know, that's trivial. You know, if if you wanted to, what you could do is perhaps so this tape is 5mm thick, wide, I believe. So I guess what you could do is, if you were so inclined, you could trim it something a little bit more in line with the size of the components you're working with. You know, it's probably, I don't know, maybe 2mm. I can't quite measure that. We've got a strip there. Compare that to the end of the resistor. Even that's too wide for the resistor slightly. But yeah, so if you wanted to, you could lay out your tracks that way with ease. And so that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering the practicalities of laying out a complete board layer, but using copper tape, adhering that down. It may just be too time consuming. There are many other ways to build PCBs. You may have heard of the Manhattan style, which is basically where you get the printed circuit board, and one side it's copper, and what you do is you cut it into little squares of such size, about that size, and then you super glue them down on the board roughly where you need them, and then you solder the parts to the copper pad on there, and then that also gives you isolation from the base layer, which again is a copper layer on the board underneath, the bit that you actually super glue to, and so then that can give you ground, and then all of the connections on top of that where all the pieces join together. It's probably a lot quicker than doing it like this with the copper stuff. That being said, of course, using flux speeds up the process considerably as well, makes things flow really easily. I'm just going to draw that onto a couple of pads anyway. Let's get another resistor out. Test number 3. So this matrix board, as you can probably just about make out, has copper pads, but there's nothing joining them. It's not like Veriboard, prototype board, or whatever, strip board, because it's not in strips, it's just pads on each hole, which I really like. I like that a lot. I find it less restrictive than strip board, but each to their own kind of thing. Okay, so I'm going to place the component between two pads that I've just cleaned up with flux to get it to flow a little bit better. Okay. Now, the pads aren't quite far enough apart for it to be a perfect example or something to play with, but I'm curious enough to try at least. So it might be an interesting way to lay out a design using surface mount components, but still quite rapid and quite easy. Fingers crossed, that's what I'm hoping for. This iron's rubbish, but you know what, it will do kind of thing. Right then, so you should really probably reflow. So in other words, you solder the pads you're going to work with, place the component on top, and then reheat it. It's probably the way to go, but I just want to try and do it this way. So I've got some solder on the iron. I'm going to try and place it down with the tweezers, which are, it's like using something that's too big, to say the least, to hold it down. Okay, that was an epic failure. Well, actually, I said, it is an epic failure. There's no doubt about that. But the component is adhered to some degree. But I wouldn't be happy with that ordinarily. But what I could do, I suppose, is take advantage of the fact that it's stuck to the board, and then heat the other pad up, apply more solder, pull the iron away. Wow, that's actually really, really... This might actually be the way to go for SMD. Oh, I'm really impressed. Okay. I've never seen anyone do it this way before, so I'm curious to see. I just thought it'd be a good idea, and it seems to be. So, I don't know if you can see that. I'm hoping you can see that. So what you should be looking at is a resistor. It's been soldered to one pad, The other side, although I can't see where the solder is, it's sort of tacked down to the pad very, 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 very slightly, but that was enough to hold it in place so that I could heat this other pad up and work ahead from there. I'm sure the process needs refining somewhat, but okay, let's try and fix the other pad, line it all up kind of thing. So just tin my iron, heat the pad, add some solder, move the iron away. I'm happy, very, very happy. Yeah, I'm very happy. Although there's a little bit of, I've got a bit of solder on another pad next to it. It's not joined or anything. It's just, you know, I touched the tip. But anyway, if you can see that, I think you may agree. Let's just do really close and see what happens. You may agree that that's not bad, right? So it's conceivable now that you could lay out loads and loads of surface mount components on one of these boards, you know, quite happily. Now, I've got so many boxes of rubbish. Sorry, not rubbish. But I've got loads and loads of containers of, you know, projects I might work on someday, what have you, and just useful, hackable bits and pieces. But Sod's Law will say that the bit I'm trying to show you now, I won't be able to find. Okay. I've got some somewhere. Oh, I found it. Oh. Another project for the future, doorbell. Okay. So these matrix boards, you can get them on eBay really, really cheap. Now, they smell awful, but anyway. As you can see, it's just a board. Regular printed circuit board, really. You know, you can tell it's cheap though, but that doesn't matter, I don't think. Yeah, it's got all your copper pads again, not all joined together. That'll make then connecting up your surface mount components really simple. So I'm just waiting on an order of components at the moment, not just the surface mount LEDs I mentioned, but also capacitors and things. I think I'll get some inductors as well, but we'll see. But that's kind of where I'm going. I just want to have a play with, and hope that's useful to someone. Who knows? Yeah, that's all for this video, I think. Peace. Hiya. Hello. Please remember to subscribe, thumbs up, like, +1, whatever, and if you feel like it, comment. I realise Google Plus is a bit, so don't comment, I understand, but subscribe and like.